All right, welcome back again to another episode of the Live Your Dreams podcast, where we dive deep into the stories of remarkable individuals who are shaping the world through their passion and dedication. Today, we are honored to have Maarten van Wijck with us, the co-founder and chairman of the board of SonoSuite. Maarten is a visionary leader who believes in transformative power of music, not just as an art form, but as a catalyst for cultural, social, and environmental change. His journey in the digital music space spans over 2 decades, marked by his unwavering commitment to entrepreneurship and advocacy for independent music. He is somebody that, because of his actions, over 400,000 people have been empowered because of SonoSuite's. Maarten, you are an incredible individual. Thank you so much for coming on to Live Your Dreams podcast. Your story is nothing short of extraordinary. Thank you.
Great to be here. Thanks.
I mean, your body of work says it all. What you've been creating, SonoSuite, something that's going to be very excited, and we're going to get into that. But again, at the beginning, so you've been in this journey as an entrepreneur, somebody in the arts, music, for quite some time. I'd love to hear more about you. What motivated you as a young man? Because it's always hard to take that first step kind of going into the arts. What motivated a young Maarten to say, I'm going to take this step and go into this direction with my life?
Yeah, thanks. Good question. I'm a musician, actually, inside and out. So I started to play saxophone when I was studying, and I always had like a really music in my life. My mother always listening to music, and I was surrounded by music. So when I studied, I played in the band, and I was also studying international business and MBA. So doing the music and being in the MBA, I saw there was like this huge, bridge between business and music, between the two halves of our brain, basically,
Sure.
right? And so that kind of has been the thread through my life, trying to bring those two halves together. So I always, wanted to do things with music, musicians, and anything. I started a company called Dada This in the 2000s, early 2000s, also in the music space, but it was too early because we still had these old phones.
Yes, yep.
So, it was basically the infrastructure was not ready for it, but I learned a lot of things, and that's how I kind of entered into the digital music space. Also, super motivated by Napster.
Oh, yeah.
That time, and everybody was like, "Wow, what's happening?" And suddenly, I could just download music and albums. We were always like buying CDs and stuff like that, but suddenly there was this huge change, in consumption of music, which is not always like positive in terms of business, because there was like a lot of piracy and stuff going on.
Yeah.
But in terms of empowerment for musicians, that was like such a big shift. And that was kind of what pushed me forward into what I'm doing, until today, basically. Yeah.
I loved how you said that, because again, seeing those two sides of the brain come together, you're such a special individual, because most musicians, most business, they can't use that. And a lot of people, that's a real talent you have.
Yes.
Because a lot of people can't access both sides of their brains. Artists are always thinking of that pure art form. Businessmen are always thinking of the bottom line. It's great that you were able to bridge those two together, because the arts truly need somebody like that can bridge both sides together, because a lot of times artists are taken advantage of, or businessmen don't care about what's actually going to happen in the art, and it becomes very commercialized. It kind of falls apart. It's beautiful that you brought these two worlds together and care about both sides, so passionately.
Well, thanks. I mean, I think that's true for music, but also, talking to all the people out there who have an idea. I think if you have skills, we all have like skills and hobbies or something. Many people they separate it, like, or people are really deep into something, like for instance, conservation or, marine biology. I don't know, to say something. But then there's always also this part of business that needs to be there to make it happen.
Yes.
So what would we need to find, people, there's like loads of individuals like me, like you guys as well. You have like a creative idea, you create a podcast, you bring it out there. The idea is to realize things, and the idea is also to make these bridges in all areas of life, conservationists, people that work with social things, everything needs also this organizational business brain, to put it that way.
Yeah.
Needs to be matched with the impulse from the heart, and that's what I always try to bring up with, talking to entrepreneurs and talking to people that create new projects.
No, no,
Because
no.
that's where the disruption starts, and that's where we can make
Mhm.
things happen in this society, where also the part of business is, if you want it or not, but it's like really important to make things a reality.
That's
You're
awesome.
you're 100% right, and it is so important to be able to do that. And it's crazy now how people, the artists and the businessmen, could disrupt the overall system. Now it's fascinating, right? You mentioned back in the early 2000s when you're working in these ideas, and this is when Napster started coming around, but the technology really wasn't there yet. The internet still wasn't was what it was today. Have you found, like, once, people were very resistant back in the early 2000s when Napster came out, so many people just said, put their hands up, studios said, we want nothing to do with this. And people really didn't take advantage of that internet, what's going to become this big boom at the time. Have you found a huge difference now between, because all artists are now utilizing the internet, just a mindset of freedom and creative freedom. Have you found working with artists now is completely different than it was back then, that people are now more open to trying to collaborate and kind of utilize all this free space that's out there, as opposed to back in the early 2000s where the internet was kind of seen as like the devil almost? They wanted to keep it away and nothing to do with it.
Yeah, very good point. Sure. I mean, when we started, it was all quite experimental and very amateur.
Yeah.
I remember we were one of the first, if not the first, in Spain, for instance, to sign with Apple Music, or what was then called iTunes.
Yeah.
And it all went quite, how do you say in Spanish? We say casero. It was like not really professional.
Yeah.
But it started to professionalize really quickly. In 2-3 years' time, I'm talking about between 2002, 2007, something like that. Suddenly, people start to understand that, wow, this instead of a threat, this is an opportunity. I can be out there on the music store or whatever service there was, side to side, me with my creations and Madonna or whoever was big then, and this was the big, huge opportunity that musicians saw that. But there was still like a lot of, backtracking from like big companies in the music space, like always, because there was like this revolution going on, and all these big companies like, wait a second, because they were on the top of their business wave in the late 90s. Packing CDs, shipping them, that was the business.
Oh yeah.
And suddenly this all came down like super quickly, and it's only today after 24 years, right, that we're back on a level of business in numbers with the numbers that were in the late 90s. So it took a while before everybody, realized what was going on. And now, it's becoming very regulated, and the whole environment changed a lot. Everybody embraced, of course, the internet. But if I say everybody, I mean everybody. So the good guys, also the bad guys.
Yeah.
So, we have to look at that right now. We have different issues today than we had, back then. But having been able to look at the whole process from beginning to today has been amazingly fascinating and really crazy as well, because, we went from bigger companies being quite against this whole digital stuff.
Yeah.
To now they're, investing and helping entrepreneurs to get more digital stuff out there. So that's amazing.
No.
I have a question, Maarten. Basically, I'm trying to compare this now, this film, as a business that I'm very familiar with. It's great for the artists to get their films not only seen around the world, but be able to, even for people with productions, to have their products out there where they couldn't compete before in the past with the big guys. But how would you say that has affected with regard to the financial return? There was a return they were accustomed to back then. Now the individual has more control, but are they getting the same return as they did back then? Are they more open to the full disclosure of what's available with regard to their return on investment?
Yeah, well, it's a good point. Like I said, the whole of income is now more or less what we had the late 90s. So the pie didn't really get really bigger, right? But we had to slice it up between much more people, because it's a now free access world, while in the beginning you needed really a label and like a whole team behind you. And it was kind of difficult to break through as an artist. Right now you record at home, you have your social networks, maybe some people working on that, and you can really make it big. So that's a big difference. but the whole business model has changed. You know, I'm a bit familiar with the film as well. So it's more like a promotional tool right now for most of them, for like the big part of most musicians and artists. This is you have to be there. It's exposure. It's, you know, being found. That's the most important part. But the income is for a lot of artists, you know, still live music, and it's more and more important, of course, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. So that, again, everything's an adapting business, and that's something that we all have to get used to, and it's always going to be that way. And talking about, you know, adapting business, when you first started shifting into this digital space, do you have any colleagues that you would work with that kind of looked to you and said, are you nuts to accept this and you want to go in this, you know, direction that's kind of like, because at the beginning, especially, you're like a renegade going in that direction. It's something different. People saw it as disruption. It was changing the business. How was the reception that you were doing something so different? How did, one, it kind of affect you? And two, how did you get going with that? Because it's something big when you take those chances.
Yeah, sure. Well, at the beginning, I remember, I mean, when I was explaining what we did, like digital distribution back in the early 2000s to fellow musicians, they look like I was coming from Mars, right? Like, dude, what the hell? But because there was also, you know, the adoption of all the technologies was, you know, that YouTube didn't exist. I mean, you're talking about way back. So yeah, it was a different time then, but you know, we worked at the beginning really on a kind of one-to-one basis. We really, out of love for music, you know, we went here in the Barcelona area where we started. You know, we went to concerts, and we talked to artists, and then they gave us our CD, and we would put it into our computer, check the tracks out. So it was like really manual, really artisanal, you know, process back then, and very slow. And you know, and so we grew with the internet, scaling it up. So today, you know, we're now processing thousands of tracks each day. But then we really started like root, you know, I said root level or grassroots level.
Yeah, right on the ground. Yeah, bottom floor basically. And you had
bottom floor,
absolutely.
Dude.
Yeah.
But that's the cool thing about it, because many things that were valid then are still valid right now.
Sure.
And the most important thing for us always is to be there side by side for the creator or for the record label, whoever we're serving, and also do a lot of education, you know, so people understand what the possibilities are, they understand what the risks are, and they understand what, you know, what they really can do, what is best for them at each moment in their career. That's always there, and that's always been very important for us.
That's fantastic that you're willing to do that, because I think educating the client and the artist that's involved is so important. Otherwise, people don't know what they're getting involved in. I think so many people have expectations that may not be met. I'm so glad you're taking that approach where you want to educate the people that are getting into your space to make sure that they have a full understanding of what's going on around them. Because I think that's the way people learn. They're going to want to be a part of something. They're going to see that this is where not only at one time was the future. I mean, you guys are the present. What you're doing is so impressive. And I love that you're opening up this avenue for artists to really get involved and have their music seen and heard. Is phenomenal what you're doing. And really, we can get into it when you want to, because I love the pricing plans, everything you guys have there. It's there for the musician. It's not that you don't have to be this A+ AA list musician that's making millions and selling out stadiums. You can get involved at the level and actually start making an impact. It's fantastic what you guys created for the artists out there.
No, thanks. Yeah, I mean, basically, what we empower the music businesses on the local level, and they serve the artists, right? So, and that's why I heard you say the pricing and everything. Well, it depends on the client that uses our platform, and they serve the artists, right? What is really important for me, always has been, and for a co-founder, Jose Luis, as well, is diversity. So when you work, you know, really on local level with local artists, you get so much diversity also out there, which is very enriching for the music services, and also super important. That's why we always focus on the independent sector. Super important for the variety and diversity in music, right? Take hip hop. Hip hop back in the 70s was like an obscure, small genre. Came out of the independents. The major, they didn't really want to know much about it, because. And now it's the most, it's the most important music genre basically out there. And we will see this more and more. So stuff that is coming from local markets and talking right now about Brazil, which we do a lot right now, India. These are there's so many people there. And the influence of major companies is, of course, big there. But because it's all grassroots, these are the big artists that you're going to see, and they are going to be there because we empower local companies to make, the music visible and available on those worldwide platforms.
What a feeling. One, obviously it's great from a financial perspective, but two, what you're doing is the opportunity you're giving to so many artists that are out there, that are these local independent artists. At the end of the day, when you get to hear somebody's music out there, do you ever take a look at yourself and say, wow, I was a part of that. I really got to do. Did you ever take that step back and just go, you know what? I helped get that done?
Well, not exactly like that. Because,
You should.
I don't really work at what I do really appreciate is that once in a while, or not once in a while, now and then I get like these messages from people from local markets. And it comes from Kenya or from Nigeria or from Venezuela or from Guatemala. And people say, hey, guys, thanks to SonoSuite or thanks to your, because the clients, they also resend us this kind of information. My music is there and I can, I can develop my career or I can help my mother. There are little small stories. And that's for me, that's the success. So success is of course, when we think about success, many people are like, okay, we're talking Taylor Swift and this huge artist and stuff like that. But for a musician, many musicians out there, success many times is much more small scale, right? Success is, hey, I can do all the gigs I want. I can do my classes. Many musicians are, I can support my family. I can help the parents that need some help, whatever, and all that. If we can play only a very small role in that by generating some revenue for these people, then we've done a good job.
That's right.
Absolutely. That is a beautiful statement. I think that is fantastic. Now, for these musicians that want to get involved, I'm excited to hear about the process. How does it work when they want to get involved? For our viewers that don't know anything about SonoSuite, how do they get involved with it? How do they go online? How do they start looking it up? What's kind of the onboarding process that a new client would go through?
Yeah, cool. Well, basically, so our platform is basically for independent labels, music promotion companies, promotion agencies, that work on a local level. So if they have artists and they doing digital distribution, which nowadays almost everybody does, they can do it via one of our, one of the partners that are out there or one of the companies that are out there. But they can also do it using their own brand. So if you have like a distribution or a promotion company, say in Valencia, in Barcelona, whatever, then you can say, look, I'm going to offer digital distribution using my own brand to the artist and all the artists that I give a service to. And then they go to the SonoSuite website. They can fill out, the form with their interest. Our people will get back to them. They will, take the time for them to understand what their needs are, what's the best pricing plan, etc. And then you can be up and running really quickly, And within days, you can be able, within days, you can offer digital distribution to the artists that are in your roster and do everything on your brand. You have full control over the whole process. And the artists that work with you, they don't have to go somewhere else. They do it with a local partner, which many times is the most valuable for them as well.
That's great. You're that platform that these artists need to really get out there. I'm loving that you can still involve your home team. It sounds like it's a safe platform where people can bring the people they want to be involved, yet you're giving them this more wide scale digital distribution. It's great. I love what you guys are really providing.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, home team, I like that. I mean, the music industry is always like attracting a lot of people because, I would almost say who doesn't love music, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And so there's always the musicians and there's the groupies and there's people who do some management around it, as a side job or whatever. So if you really want to get to a next level, we provide a tool, and we did that for many entrepreneurs out there. And we're like, who have a contact and network with musicians. They do stuff for them, but they really need to integrate this in a way, in a business. So this is a great step to use SonoSuite to get yourself out there as a digital distributor, we provide you all the tools, all the analytics, we do the whole back office. So it's very easy, but it gives you, a great service to offer to your artists. And around the digital distribution, then you can offer your promotion or your mastering, your recording, whatever, whatever you're good at. But as you say, at a local level, you stay in your home team, you do it with the people that's super important for us.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's people have to realize, like you said, I love you said it earlier. You don't start your career at that Taylor Swift level. It's a local level. You're building up as part of the process. Like you said, I love, because one, we all have to have big ambitions to get into the arts. We love it. We see things in the future, but so many artists that are breaking in, they don't see the real steps of being an artist at the beginning. People will eventually figure that out. But if you're a 17-year-old kid who wants to become a musician, you think in 3 months you may be Taylor Swift and have these selling out concerts. But like you said, if you're providing a platform that's allowing people to provide for their families, musicians to get more gigs, exposure that will get them more money to be able to provide for families themselves, to make a living being an artist, that is phenomenal. Because just to be able to survive as an artist is so difficult nowadays. And the fact that you have a platform that allows that is really fantastic.
I mean, I really love that you have that where you put them in this. They're in the driver's seat. They're steering their own ship, basically. They can brand themselves under your company. It's quite amazing. So not only the individual artists, but also these record producers can then consolidate under your platform.
Yeah. And the cool thing is that, like you say, I mean, at that level, which is like a lot of volume, people can build their careers and stuff. But we also, of course, we supply. Our clients are also more established distributors, more established management companies with big artists. So we cover the whole spectrum. But we are very realistic in the sense that, statistically, a small part of the artists, they make big money, but there's like so much creativity out there. And that's so important to promote that, because that's where the creativity comes from, and that's where the variety comes from, and that's where new stuff comes from. That's where the innovation is in music, not in the big stars that are out there already, but in the new guys that will become big one day, but they have to start somewhere, right? So we do the whole spectrum. We do a very professional service for established companies, of course, as well, but we provide the same tools to these artists that are aspiring.
Beautiful.
That's fantastic. Now, again, you concentrate a lot in the markets in Europe, South America, India. And if anybody here in the U.S., they have the ability to work with you guys as well? Are you completely worldwide? Where's all the branding that you guys are working with?
Yeah. No, we have our main markets right now are Europe, US.
Okay.
But we're growing very strongly in Asia. And,
good.
So it's worldwide. Africa is like amazing. The music that's coming from there is really good, really well produced, super creative, well made. And as we see that the music services, they're also growing in all these markets, we grow with them because they need local content to be big, So we are we provide that to them. So we go kind of hand in hand with that growth as well.
Now, Maarten, I'm also interested in you. You started playing the saxophone. Are you making music anymore? Are you getting anything out there? Because I know you're helping.
Got a great platform.
People. Are you still doing it?
That's a good question. Well, recently I'm back. On the music scene, playing. I changed instruments, by the way. I'm now more into music for meditation. Yoga, mindfulness, stuff like that. And one of our learnings is that these platforms are great, of course, for revenue, for exposure and everything. But there's like very different music for different ambiences and different moments in your life. So I'm more focused on the live music right now.
Sure.
But of course, I use our own tools as well.
No, I'm glad. I'm so glad to hear that, because
you got the best.
Create all these amazing tools. It's so nice to see yourself getting out there, because as an artist, you never lose that creative spirit that you want to get out there and just create. I'm sure obviously you feel that way as well.
Yeah. It's really important, and I love to be playing again because it brings me back to when we started. When we really found the need to get our music out there. And one of the reasons we started this whole adventure was we wanted our music to be available in the whole world. We wanted to be there, and we wanted to do it from a local support, not using a company out there on the other side of the ocean. No, we wanted to like create a local hub.
Sure.
So that's where the idea from SonoSuite comes from. So I'm really happy that now also back playing, but SonoSuite is working, so that's good.
No, you kidding me? That's what a position. what a position to be in.
20 years ago.
Life is good right now. That's fantastic. Talking about that, you said even back then, seeing what the present is. What is the future, do you believe, for SonoSuite's 5-year plan, kind of where you see the company and also yourself? Because again, you're a fascinating individual. You're involved with a lot with the communities. You're out there helping. You speak a lot. You're around the scene. You try to help. I'd love to hear more about not only the company but yourself. What you guys see in the next 5 years.
Sure. Well, SonoSuite is like a hub, and also we see ourselves as like an icon for the independent industry. So, and the independent industry means, it means individuals and labels that want to be free to create whatever they want. And now with the upcoming of AI and stuff like that, I could add, I could really change that definition of independent human creators, right? Because I'm a big fan of technology. I think AI is amazing. It's an amazing tool to create music and in the whole creation process. So I'm a big fan, and it's all positive. But I do see there's like a lot of change coming to us. So SonoSuite will be there for this new creation process. We will be there as the hub for the distribution of music to all the different channels that are right now there, and that will be there because the consumption of music is changing, and it will change a lot the coming 3 to 5 years. Also because I foresee that the music as tracks, right, as we're listening to right now, is kind of it's a thing of the past. It comes from the single, from the vinyl, then the CD. But now in the digital realm, we can have music more as a constant. So we see that more and more the consumption and the creation of music, soundscapes, stuff like that is taking up more and more an important space in the music market and also in music services. And the creation of music is just changing. So instead of there will always be the artist that goes into a studio and has like this amazing moment and creates something beautiful that you can listen to later on. But now with the technology that we see right now, it's already there that you can just say, okay, I'm cooking. I want to listen to some funky beats, right? That make me feel good, and then that music is created on the spot for you. So this is a different way, Or are you running and you say, okay, I want to have music that goes with my rhythm. So if I go faster, all that stuff already exists, but now it's going mainstream, and that means that musicians will diversify in these different kinds of music models. The music revenues will diversify and all that. So with SonoSuite, we're super aware of that. We support it totally, and our infrastructure allows us to be there as well in the future to be able to generate revenues and administer the royalties and the rights and everything that all these new ways of consumption are generating.
I like this concept of this constant flow of music, because you notice for the past decade or more, every restaurant that you go to is always playing music in the background. Actually, a lot of times I hear a song and I ask what that song was, and they go to their playlist. So it's definitely it's the future, it's the present, it's ongoing. So I love what you guys are doing with that also, with that constant stream.
Yeah, cool. And for me, it's super fascinating because never a boring moment. I always said it already, since I started in the early 2000s. You just wake up and there's like so much new stuff going on in the music world every day, which is absolutely fascinating. And for me, it's a great joy, to be able to work. I'm very lucky. I consider myself a very lucky person to be able to work in this environment, which I love so much, the music. And it's really bringing some richness to people's lives, right? So fantastic. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. It 100% is. And we love the fact that, if you go back, like you said at the beginning of the conversation, go back to 2001, people thought that the internet business was going to be the downfall of the music industry. And you turned that into a positive and created the internet into something great for the music industry. And has now enabled artists to really get out there, be seen, help distributors become the future of what's going on. I love that you turned something that people thought would have been a negative into this great positive. Shows the kind of person you are. And now, what's next for you as an individual outside of the company? We're excited to hear about your future, who you are, because I'm sure that our listeners are going to be fascinated by your story. You have a great tale. You have accomplished so much. We'd love to hear more what's next on Maarten's agenda.
My agenda. Well, like I said, I'm more and more into playing music, live music. Be there for creating soundscapes. Like really unique music experiences that can't be reproduced. That's something I think it's more and more valuable all the time. I love live music as well, so that's something I wanna investigate more, also for myself in the coming years. And on the other hand, I'm really happy and available for entrepreneurs who have questions, who want coaching or whatever, to talk with them, listen to them, and be there for them. To support them in their adventures. I think everything that I've been through may be of value to other people who are starting their journey. So that's where I want to. That's where I see myself in the coming years.
That's a beautiful offer. I gotta say, Maarten. I mean, the one thing I always say in the film business was, I just want to make sure I'm going the right direction. I don't need a shortcut. I just want to make sure I'm going the right direction. So having mentors has always been a very big part of my life, and thank you for offering that to your listeners.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, for me, mentors have always been very, very important in my life.
Yes.
And sometimes I think back and also thinking, oh, if I would have known this or that, or if somebody told me, go left, go right here, I would,
save a lot of time.
Save a lot of time. Let me keep it there.
No, absolutely. Now, obviously, Maarten, it's SonoSuite. People can get out there in the music business, check it out, get understanding it. Make sure you guys are going to this website. We'll make sure we have links in all of our descriptions below.
Yeah,
but
cool,
if anyone wants to learn more about you, do you have a personal website people can look you up on? They just Google you. Where do people learn more about the individual?
Yeah, I'm very simple. I'm available on LinkedIn. That's it.
Perfect. Yep. Perfect. LinkedIn is a place to go to connect. You have to realize that when you're
connect to me on LinkedIn. It's the easiest way, and that's it. Well,
seriously, Maarten, you are an incredible individual. Your story is fantastic. It is great. I mean, we've already been on here for the half an hour time. I couldn't believe it when I looked up and I saw the little light blinking there. They said, all right, you're a half an hour in. This is it. I thought it was so much fun having you on. You are really just an incredible individual. Your story, your passion behind what you've created about the arts, but yet the way you combine it, like you said at the beginning, with the business sense, goes to show the entrepreneurial brain that you have, but just the person you are, really. Thank you so much for taking the time, because I know our viewers are going to get so much from listening to you.
Thanks a lot, Joe and Chris. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. And again, SonoSuite, we'll make sure we have all the descriptions in our links below, again, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Apple Podcasts, along with YouTube. You can check the Live Your Dreams podcast out. You will have links to the descriptions below. Please, musicians, I'm telling you, get out there, get involved with communities like this. This is where the future could be. It's a lot of great distributors we know that are listening. We can't wait, and we hope to meet. We hope to link you up with Maarten out there. Maarten, again, thank you so much for coming on to the show. Again, I'm Joe Gawalis for the Live Your Dreams podcast with my co-host,
Chris Victor.
Again, we are the dreamers, and the dreams make the world go around. Maarten, thank you so much for coming.
Let's make it happen.
That's right.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Have a great day.